you all remember when Vice President J.D. Vance was at Disneyland? And do you remember that Secret Service was everywhere and they were very careful? And a lot of people online were mocking and frustrated and saying, "Oh, you're taking the place away from the families." And you remember how they were even, they took clips of J.D. Vance, you know, running after his kid and made fun of him with that. Well, we're finding out that things were pretty darn scary surrounding J.D. Vance just attending Disneyland. Let's talk about it right now. This is out of Eyewitness News, ABC 7 in Anaheim. Anaheim man accused of making threats of a deletion variety against J.D. Vance during Disneyland visit. Here's what it says. A 22-year-old, this one's out of Santa Ana, KABC. A 22-year-old Anaheim man has been arrested and charged for allegedly making threats of the ultimate kind against Vice President J.D. Vance during his visit to Disneyland last year. Marco Antonio Aguayo is accused of posting threatening comments on Disney's Instagram page on the same day Vance and his family visited the theme parks. Aguayo is charged with making threats against the president and successors to the presidency. According to the Department of Justice, he is expected to make his first court appearance Tuesday in Santa Ana. Now, that's not all. Folks, if you were thinking that they went overboard at Disneyland, think again. They were protecting everybody there because this nut job said that Boom Booms had been placed in prep for his arrival. Now, did Disney know this? Did Disneyland know this? And if they did they disclose it to the public? No, they did not. This is really something. This is absolutely amazing. Ron, you've worked at Disney. You've been a cast member. How have you ever experienced or seen anything like this where Disney would need to go through the park and comb this over before welcoming in just even regular guests with this kind of a threat?
No, the closest thing that I have personally seen it myself is the day that Barack Obama, when he was president, was at the Magic Kingdom, and I
remember that closed down all of Main Street.
Yeah, so I drove out there that day, and I actually didn't know
as a cast member or as a guest.
I was a cast member, but I wasn't working that day, so I was just going to go, on my off day into the park, right? So, but I get out there and I'm like, whoa, I've never seen so many police on the streets. And like nobody was driving out there, but there was a ton of police presence and I didn't know why. And I parked going in and then I was told why. And at that time when I went in, Main Street was blocked off. The entrance that you would normally use, for those that would know, when you go into the Magic Kingdom, there is a side entrance off of the main plaza that they'll redirect you to. Yeah, they'll redirect you that way if you're going to like one of the parties afterwards and it hasn't opened up yet. So what happened was all of Main Street was blocked off and all of the Castle Hub was blocked off. And Secret Service agents were placed on the rooftops of all the buildings down Main Street. I remember looking up there and seeing them all like that was with they had rifles. They were ready to go just in case of anything. But if you wanted to go into the park, you would have gotten rerouted and actually would have had to go like over by Tomorrowland or whatever. And that's like the only way that you could go at that time. Now, I don't know how long they had that closed off. I think it was until maybe 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But obviously Disney took those steps, and of course, in accordance with the Secret Service as well. Now, when I have been working there and there were threats made, we as cast members were, of course, instructed to say absolutely nothing about that. Keep calm, carry on, kind of a thing. And that Disney security and Orange County and Osceola County police would be handling the situation. So
yeah, and the President Obama thing, that was so he could give a speech in front of the castle.
Right.
The J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance situation that happened this past year was so that he could take his family to Disneyland. And what we didn't know, this is just coming out, is this guy, this Aguayo, allegedly made people believe that there might be some stuff there, some very unpleasant things. And I don't know exactly how this played out. I mean, look at some of this stuff. The quote here is, "Good luck finding all of them on time. There will be," we'll just say chaos tonight, "and we will bathe in the chaos of corrupt politicians." I'm inserting some things, folks, because we just simply can't say them here on YouTube. This is wild. What's even more wild to me, MJ, is, I'm kind of shocked that they just let the public come in, and maybe they were confident. Maybe they didn't know this until after the fact. I don't know. But boy, oh boy, do the people who mocked, the level of security, do they look foolish now considering what apparently was out there?
Yeah, the level of negligence has been for the last decade, maybe 2 decades. It's incredible. I'm actually taken back because I'm still trying to digest the story. It's just there's no excuse. They need to make the necessary precautions and all these things. They need to do what the problem is. They don't move quick enough. Like, what are you guys waiting for? What are they waiting for a real emergency? Like always, right? With everything else, let's just wait till something really bad happens and then we'll take action and move.
With Vance, there should have been a Secret Service sweep of the entire property, though. Ahead of time.
That's tough to do, though, in a theme park.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I would imagine there was something if they would have known ahead of time. Now, it's very likely that this guy, of course, was full of head
bologna sausage.
Right, bologna sausage, right?
We love that.
Look
how happy Culture is that he's made us all say it now.
Well, and of course, I'm sure that this guy was a Marxist. Come on,
Marxist mouse. Hey, Culture.
I remember once upon a time, it used to be so safe to go in the parks, right? You could leave the stroller there with the stuff. You could leave your lunchbox, maybe a bag, and you would just come back and it was okay because
that was
there
everywhere.
was so much respect and it's like gone.
Yeah, that was everywhere back in the 90s. Culture, I specifically want to aim you, though, in a particular direction, if it's okay. And I know I can't.
I'm like a missile, apparently. But go ahead.
Well, no, listen. I know that if I send the missile in a particular direction, you're still going to blow up a lot of stuff. But no, in the best way possible. Culture,
yeah.
I actually want to praise Disney on this.
Okay.
They kept the park open.
Yeah.
They did it safely.
Yeah.
The vice president was kept safe. Disney did not put out any negative political statements about his visit. His family was kept safe. Operations were largely not disrupted. And this was handled behind the scenes. Panic did not ensue. Tickets were not canceled. And so long as they did this in a safe way, I'm impressed with this. What do you say?
No, I think it's great. I think there are times when Disney has their feet put to the fire and they have to, deliver things that everybody behind the scenes is gnashing their teeth at. That happens more often than not. And when they have to, honestly report news stories, they do have the occasional news anchor that will do that. It's nobody that's on The View for certain, or even George Snuffleupagus, but somebody will be forced to actually tell the truth from time to time. What's interesting about this is I've been in the parks, as Ron describes and MJ talks about, when there have been VIPs there, not just, heads of state and things like that. And you do see elevated security and you do see crowds rerouted and things like that. But Disney excels at proper crowd control to make that seem pretty seamless and non-existent to most of the guests' eyes.
Now, we need to clarify, Culture, that when you say you've been there when VIPs have been in the park, you're only talking about Gary Busey. You go to the parks when Gary Busey does.
Hey, that's the only time I go to the parks is if Gary's going to be in the house.
Yeah.
No, honestly, no. But I'm talking like when Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were there, in along with their extended family, which was insane. Different conversation.
And Gary Busey.
And there you go. But I've been there a few times when VIPs have been in the park, and look, I mean, you can see them. They almost always have a plaid or two with them. Usually it's an entourage of plaids if it's somebody that's high up. I've seen visiting heads of state from other countries in the parks, and and then they do an adequate job, and they tend not to draw a lot of attention to the things that are occurring. Go ahead.
Do you guys know any details about when Uncle Jesse just recently visited Walt Disney World? How did that go? Because he was
when John Stamos showed up. Yeah, he was there.
I call him Uncle Jesse.
He was there to guest with the Beach Boys. That's what he was there for.
Right, he was all over the parks, though. He was just on the rides, and he was like Instagram and TikTok on Tron and all these other. And I don't think anything got interrupted, did it? Do you guys know any details about that? He was.
There are a few celebs. There are a few celebs, and Ron can explain this. There are a few celebs, they don't want the VIP treatment. And, for example, I have been there when Steve Carell has been at the parks, and he was in line at a quick service restaurant just like everybody else, and I was shocked. I could not believe it. But there are celebs like that.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
Steven Tyler is like that. He just hangs out there. The most interesting one I saw was Tommy Hilfiger, because when I saw him, it wasn't in the park, it was actually at the Grand Floridian, but there was nobody around, and I was working at the time, and I asked my compatriot who was working with me, I'm like, who's the guy dressed like Elton John? He goes, that's Tommy Hilfiger. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that was a real person. I thought it at the time, this was 2015. I literally thought that was just a name used for clothing.
Ron said, why is he wearing all the Banana Republic stuff? I don't get it.
He was wearing like a white bowler brim hat and like white and pink, and he had a cane with it. I was like, okay, now I know what Tommy Hilfiger looks like.
Well, I mean, people visit all the time, and this is the other conversation. You have a lot of actors and actresses and people that just like grew up with Disney or worked for Disney and grew up as part of Disney. Gary Sinise will visit the parks regularly, and he does a lot of veteran stuff work there as well. But he's incognito is a fancy way to say things. But there are a lot of ways to enter and exit attractions that VIPs can utilize that general public doesn't even know, not aware of.
There's almost always any of the rides built in the last 30 or 40 years even have special access. Tunnels and everything.
There's kind of a neat back door to Ride of the Resistance that gives you the majority of the queue as a VIP, but lets you skip the riffraff if you want to.
Hey! Now, who are you calling riffraff around here?
And so what we've tried to do is really bring that shape language from the architecture. But what we love to talk about at WDI is shape language. And we often refer to shape language. There's such iconic shape language in Spaceship Reverie attraction. We really wanted to make sure that we fused to that throughout the space.
You didn't. Well, of all the cheap, lousy ways to save a buck.
Can I ask a question and derail just for a second? Because I have two other knowledgeable people on the panel.
Missile culture, missile. Go ahead.
So have you guys noticed that the little intricate details, the interactive queue items that Disney was praising for a small portion of the 90s and early 2000s no longer either exist, don't work anymore, or they don't even bother to replace? So, do you remember the Indiana Jones queue in California, Anaheim specifically? Because I don't know if they'll recreate it at Dinosaur, but there's a rope, and there's a guy working in a pit. You pull the rope, and he reacts and stuff, and you can.
Don't they have that at Hollywood Studios?
3 different reactions.
They do outside of the show.
Yeah. So the reason that I ask is have you guys noticed that that's disappearing? Remember when Peter Pan's queue was supposed to be this wonderful, interesting thing?
I have a theory about that culture. I think that post-pandemic, they try to get away from tactile stuff. They don't want you touching things. Yeah, Space Mountain, it's all about pushing the buttons to play the little video game that's not worth playing.
It doesn't. That excuse doesn't work, is what I'm saying.
You're absolutely
no, of course it doesn't
right.
work. But that's what they're up to.
Those new e-ticket rides like Guardians of the Galaxy, I knew I wasn't going to be able to ride it, but me and my family, we were so excited they were going to go, and I was expecting at least to be ooh and ah and wowed in the queue, because I look forward to the queue lines more than the rides. Okay,
it's boring.
It's boring. I'm what is this? What am I? Let me just go wait in the gift shop for you guys until you guys get. I purposely went into the queue because I wanted to be
it's
immersed.
like IKEA. There's a whole section that looks just like IKEA in that queue. Well, I will say this too, though. The when I was working there, when I was trained, when I went through Traditions the very first time, and I've been through Traditions 2.5 times, I think 3 times, I don't know. Anyway, they specifically said it's called the Disney Scoop, right? And I think culture I know knows what the Disney Scoop is. The Disney Scoop is if you're a cast member, you see trash without even looking, you dip down, you pick it up, you throw it away, nobody even notices. Yep. Here's the thing. When I was trained, if you saw trash and a manager was far enough away that they could see you and see you walk over it, you could get fired if you didn't throw it away. 100%. And I will tell you that right now, that is so much not the case. I have, in the last few years, the amount of trash from guests that just is left on the ground, nobody picks up. It's disgusting.
Park design came down to making sure that there was a trash disposal every 30 paces, every 30 feet. And so even if you were off-duty cast member, you can see people legitimately pick up garbage as they're walking down the street, even if it's not their day to work. I can't even tell you how many cast members I know that have done that.
I remember a time when even the garbage cans would talk to you.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.